few years, I've sort of toyed with the idea of bringing my workspace home and hoped there would be an opportunity, but there was just not an opportunity for me if I wanted to keep the same position I was in, which I dearly love and did not want to give it up. I'm a policy analyst, so I'm really nerdy, and I like to dig into Medicare policies and see how actually the laws that surround the healthcare industry affect the lab business, and that's part of what I do. So it's just fascinating to me, and I didn't want to give that up. But in March, it was pretty clear one day when our management came around and they said, okay, you're going to pack up and work from home for a few weeks probably. And we all joked about how it would probably be about 2 weeks, and then we'd be coming back to the office with our computers, with our monitors and all that. So I was really glad that I had just cleaned out the trunk of my car the week before, because I had some space to put all my stuff in to bring home. And just knowing that in a couple of weeks I'd be moving it back in. But as we know, that did not happen. I think it's been, what, 8 months now, 9 months? It's been a while that we've been home. And I was I wasn't quite sure how to manage it at first. I'll be honest with you. When we were at the office packing up our stuff, we were talking about how great it would be to work in PJs all day. Well, I found out pretty quickly that I'm just not as good at working in PJs as I am if I do get dressed as if I'm going into the office. Now, I will tell you guys, I put on makeup for you today. I don't do this every day when it's just me at home. But you don't want to see this without makeup. Let's just say that. But I did find out, that dressing a certain way makes me feel a little differently, makes me feel a little more successful. And I wanted to convey that in the chapter that I wrote for the book as well, that, some people might be able to work from home in pajamas, but it's just not for me. And I do realize that we're all different. And we have different challenges at home. Some people have young kids that they have to navigate maybe through virtual school as they try to work as well. And I will share with you, just recently, my daughter and her husband had some appointments to go to. And I said, well, I'll just come and bring my computer over there and hang out with the kids for a while and help them with their virtual schooling. Now, the 9-year-old, no problem at all. I was so impressed with that girl. She just got in there. I didn't have to tell her when to start, what to click on to get to her class. She knew exactly what she was doing. And the 6-year-old was a whole different story. He had been in trouble several times for turning off his camera when the teacher would speak to him and ask him to pay attention. If he felt like that she was telling him something, about his behavior, he would just turn off the camera. I don't want to see this. And so he had gotten in trouble. And I said, Noah, now, when we sit here in front of your computer, I said, I don't want you to turn off the camera. He looked at me, he said, did my sister tell you that? I said, no, your mama told me that. And he did pretty well, but I did feel like I needed to sit with him. So I didn't get a lot of work done. Fortunately, I was working on my own business and not LabCorp's business at that time, so it didn't matter so much if I had to wait till I got home. But I did think about that. Business owners who are now working from home and trying to navigate that and having their family around. It's a challenge. It truly is. Now, here in my family, I have my husband. And one of the reasons that I wanted to work from home before was because my husband is disabled and he's homebound right now. And so it just made it so much easier for me to care for him if I could be in the same space that he was. We really had to get used to that, though, because even though I was home, I wasn't really available at all hours. So I try to tell him, these are the hours I have meetings during the day. If you need me otherwise, we've got a setup now. We have got a setup where he can just ring a little doorbell chime and I know that he needs me. So that's really helped a lot. But that was one of the reasons I wanted to work from home. So when I found out I was going home, I was excited. Now, I will say that on the drive home with all my stuff in the car, I started to have some feelings that, you're not right there with your coworkers if you want to just ask a question, but we do have IM, so that was good. But there is a little bit of a disconnect, and yet, unless you're intentional about staying connected, to the people that you work with. So that was another lesson that I learned. I need to actually reach out to people, even just to say good morning, just to kind of keep that connection going. Um, One of the other things I learned was about my neighborhood. Most of the time I was gone 8 hours or more a day. I didn't really know what was going on outside the door, but I found out pretty quickly that one of my neighbors loves loud music. Who knew, right? And so one day, a neighbor from the other side of me texted me because, he had heard the loud music and he said, "Do you hear that loud music?" I'll be honest with you, I didn't hear any of their loud music because I had my music on at the time. I just turned my music down and said, "No, I don't hear theirs at all." I don't know if that was wrong or not, but when you're home alone or almost alone, you just kind of do what you want. So I listen to a lot of music and podcasts, but now I do it at a lower level. So one of the things I learned was, doesn't matter what your neighbors do, but just be kind to your neighbors. Okay. Another thing that I learned was that, especially when you have your family at home, this goes back to that. You just cannot please your spouse 24 hours a day. You just cannot. And I began to think that he thought of me as a maid. I'm just going to say that right out loud. In the beginning, it just seemed like that, just ring the bell and here I come. So we had to have a little conversation. But I also found out that I just think he eats too much and sleeps too much. But, I'm going to keep that to myself because I don't want to start anything. Maybe working away from home 8 hours a day saved our marriage all these years. I don't know, but we'll see. So some of the things that you learn are about the people in your home and how that affects your business, about your neighbors' distractions, and that affects your business, about all the packages that are delivered during the day to interrupt. You have to navigate that. I'm very careful about when I order groceries so that they come at certain times that I'm not super busy. And I love ordering groceries, though. I actually started that last year and I just fell in love with it because I'm not really a shopper. I don't know if that makes me less than a woman, but I'm not really a shopper. And I have so enjoyed the grocery delivery. But I have noticed that, you don't get as many of the items as you order these days. So you have to be patient and you can't let that rattle you if you don't get your favorite chocolate, one day. So there's just so many things outside of your actual business that you run that affect it or can affect it. And I truly believe we have to be healthy, mind, body, and soul. And so, if we let these outside distractions take us away from what we should be and get our mindset in a different place, it can really affect our business and our relationships with our customers as well. So I'm such a proponent of trying to, get your mind in the right place. And with that, I just want to share with you something that I do every morning. Every morning I listen to a podcast. It's called 7 Good Minutes. And I feel like anybody can carve out 7 minutes, to listen to a podcast, but I'm multitasking at the same time. So I'm working and I'm listening to this, and it's just something that's uplifting and positive that can help you with your day. And it's only 7 minutes. So that's how I start my day. And I actually listened to something this morning that said, the way you start your day will set the tone for the rest of your day. And don't you feel like that's true? If you start your day off and you're just scrambling around to get things together, or, you feel like you're late sitting down at your computer to get things done or get to the office, it just makes you feel kind of flustered and kind of sets the tone for that day. But if you can start your day and intentionally do it in a good way where your mind is ready and you're excited about what you're about to do, it can just set the tone for the rest of the day, even when bad things come along. So that's some of the things that I've learned since I've been home. One other thing that I learned was that being in my house, I just want to do things around the house. I'll have a little lull and I just want to get up and fold some clothes or throw some in the washer or whatever. I think that's fine, as long as we're not too distracted by that. But the other day on my lunch break, I decided I was just going to clean the shower. That's what I was going to do. And then I was going to take a shower. I'm going to just tell you, taking a shower in the middle of the day just makes the rest of the afternoon go so well. So I decided that's what I would do. And I'm not going to be too transparent. Yesterday, I was this will be G-rated, no problem. And I'm singing, and everything, and feeling really good about getting some things done on my lunch hour. And all of a sudden, I realize as I'm taking my shower after I cleaned that I've got a meeting that I've got to be on a call at 1 o'clock, right at 1 o'clock. And being in the shower, I wasn't quite sure exactly how close to 1 o'clock that was. So I jump out, it's very close to 1 o'clock. And I'm just going to say, I am so glad it was not a Zoom call with video because I'm scrambling in here with wet hair and everything, right? Sitting down, getting on my call, and took a few deep breaths, and nobody knew the difference that I had done that to myself, gotten so flustered. But I think we have to be very intentional about what we do, whether it's on our lunch hour or in the morning or, just getting ready for that work day. It just makes a difference whether you're, working in the office or at home. But honestly, there were challenges to coming home. Like I said before about the PJs, just didn't work for me. The loud music just did not, I had to navigate that as well. And one of the things that I noticed about myself was that I need to be so organized that I start my day at the same time every morning. If I start a little later, I just don't feel like I'm as productive. So I try to start right at 8 o'clock. I think it's good to be on a schedule. When I was in the office, we would take breaks. We would take 2 15-minute breaks in the morning and the afternoon. When I'm home, I take 2 15-minute breaks in the morning and the afternoon. I actually take them over there in the living room and I just turn on some music. Usually I'm stretching and I'm doing a little exercise just to get the blood going because I have to sit in this chair so long. It really helps to get up and move around. When I was in the office, I would go outside and walk, and that really helped. It even clears your mind. So I wanted to keep that going. On my lunch hour, I make sure that I definitely get up. I take my whole hour if at all possible. Once in a while, they'll sneak a little meeting in, but I really try to give myself that time because I think it's best for us to do, whether it's physically or mentally or emotionally, to have that time to ourselves. Sometimes I call it me time because it really helps me to be a better person to the rest of the world. So that's one of the things that I do that really helps a lot. And I feel like it's easier once you do get on that schedule when you're working from home to do it from home because you don't have as many distractions like you would have at the office. Again, you may have family distractions, and training or teaching your family to respect your boundaries. I think that's very important as well. But those are some of the things that I really, really, really find to be beneficial is being intentional about setting a schedule, being intentional about getting your mindset right in the morning, and just finding out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Because, some of the people at work, I know they work in their PJs and they are just fine. So there's nothing wrong with that unless it affects you adversely. Um, does anybody have any experience that you'd like to share that's been a challenge about working from home or a question that you have about that?
I want to agree with you about something, and
Okay,
that
Gary.
is, I have a home office anyway because I do insurance, and so, but I wasn't ever here. I was on the road all day, every day, seeing clients, and so it made me get a little more organized. But the thing you said was key for me, and it doesn't mean it works for everyone else. Get up and get ready to go to work, just like I was getting in the car to go. Difference is I'm coming down the hall to my office, so that's helped me a lot because then if I do have somewhere I've got to go, I'm already ready. So that's made a difference for me, and it made me feel like I was actually working, and so I agree with you about that. Everybody may have a different philosophy about that or how they approach it, but that's the way I approach it. I'm a face-to-face sort of person, so I like to see people, and this is killing me.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
because everybody's on Hollywood Squares, and that's great, but I really like to see folks, and so that's been a big challenge for me. Uh, and I try every time I get an appointment set up because I can do phone enrollments. It's no big deal, but I really do like to recommend Zoom for everyone, one-on-ones or anything else, because I can look at the person. And then all
Yeah.
of the networking that we've done recently, I've learned a lot about how the computer needs to be positioned, where the camera height should be, and those things. So it's actually a really cool situation. I'm still grappling with how to stay home and get all this stuff done. I've got a lot accomplished in the last few months. After I got all my yard work done, I'd put off for a year. I tried to break my schedule up and push myself to do a certain amount of time outside, a certain amount of time in the house and in the office, and do those things. So, but that was one thing I have to agree with. I get up, I get ready for work, just like I'm going to work. I watch the news, I catch up on everything I need to try to get in my office. I don't know why insurance people have this golden 9 o'clock hour set in their business, because by 9 o'clock I should be 50 miles down the road somewhere. I've just had a different philosophy, but I used to start work at 5 a.m. every morning. So maybe that's a little different. By lunchtime, half my day is gone. I'm great. So it's just how we push our own selves to do, at this time I'm going to do this, at this time I'm going to do this, because I'm a routine person. But that's helped me a lot, just to get up and get ready for work. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And, when you were talking about 5 o'clock, I don't know if I've ever gotten up at 5, but I do try to get out the door most mornings at 6:30 to take a quick 30-minute walk. Not every morning, but the days that I do, I feel so much better. I just feel like I'm ready to go when I sit down at my desk. So I think it's important that we, adhere to those schedules and get in the work clothes or whatever works for us. So I
We,
appreciate you sharing that.
there's
Anybody else?
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
research that has been done. And I mean, there are people that want to work in their PJs, and that's fine. But there's research, hard research, that when you get dressed and you are dressed and presenting, that you get more done, you're more productive.
I believe that.
And so I hear it all the time, and I started out being real good. Now the one thing about me is I'm on Zoom about 6 hours a day, and I've never been. I mean, I've always worn makeup, but I've never been like makeup camera ready at 8 every morning.
Yeah.
That has been a change, but I have not particularly. But I've gotten in the groove. But there were a couple of days that I thought, well, I'm just gonna. Everybody says that they're wearing their sweats and stuff, and I just did not. I did not feel the same. So I was like, well, yeah, that research was absolutely right. It just didn't quite work for me.
It used to be kind of a joke where you'd say, "Well, hey, and I can go home before all the staying at home." This is way back last year. Uh, you know, Aflac had adopted doing phone enrollments and those things, and that was great. And we could kind of joke about it and say, "Well, yeah, I can go home and write that in my fuzzy slippers. That's no big deal." And so now it is fuzzy slippers because we are home.
That's right.
Thank
That is
goodness.
right.
Thank goodness I had an office already at home, but still, I've also learned how it wasn't conducive to what I do until I got in here and did some work and got a little better organized, and so that's made a big difference as well. So pushing myself to get past those things of being unorganized or not making the calls I need to make or whatever, because if I don't make the call, I don't make any money. So I've got to be on the phone. I've got to be calling people, following up with people, refilling a pipeline, those type things. But then not being here every day, all day, like I have been since the 1st of March, I wasn't as well organized. So this has done a lot of good things for my business in that I can actually find something now. I can reach it and find it. But being prepared every day, because some of my family, I'll say some of my family don't realize I still work. So I have to remind them, I can't run over to your house today. I've got meetings to be in. Uh, but I'll say besides getting up and get ready, like I said before, the other thing is staying in contact with people. And I say this all the time in networking, staying in contact. I love Drew. I love to see Drew. I get to see Drew a couple times a week, and it's great. And if it weren't for that, if it weren't for the Hollywood Squares, I think I probably would have went crazy, because I don't want to be the voice on the other end of the phone. I want to be the voice on the screen, the picture and the voice on the screen. And
Mhm.
so that's made a big difference as well.
I agree. I like seeing people, and I like seeing people smile. You know, when we're out there with all the masks on, I miss the smiles of other people and the nods, you know, when we walk past strangers. And just last week, I started working early voting in the afternoon. So that's what I've got to do after this, too, until the end of the month. And I'm telling you what, like Kimball said earlier, we have to be really careful, you know, out there. So we've got our mask on and our face shields and everything. And, you know, we're still not seeing those smiles. And I truly miss that. But I do like seeing the people come in. And I like being able to deal with people one-on-one, not just on a screen, but being able to help them, you know, with what they're doing. And it's just, it really makes a difference when you're not around people. I didn't realize how much, because there's a part of me that's an introvert. There really is. People don't understand that. They don't get it, because I'm not afraid to get out there and do what we're doing today. But there's a small part of me that really likes being an introvert, curling up in my blanket, being at home by myself, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't want to do that all the time, you know? I miss the people. I truly do. And yesterday, I actually ran into some of my former, well, I guess they're still co-workers, just not in the same building. And they came in to vote, and it was just great to see their, you know, how much of their faces I could see, and just to talk to them one-on-one for just a moment, you know. So
Have we
I think
learned how to
people need it.
read? Have we learned how to read everyone's eyes because we have face coverings on now? I see
I,
Kimball shaking her head because I know she's very astute and she pays a lot of attention. And we talked about body language, but now it's eye language a lot of times because we're seeing everyone from chest up, you know, and that's it. So we
right.
can, you know, so it's just interesting.
Yeah, you
I
get
know.
all, and that's, you know, I almost think it is easier on Zoom where you can see the whole face, because you know, only about 17% of communication is verbal, and the rest is body language, and a lot of that is facial expression. And when you cover the face up to the eyes, you know, I'm a hypnotist and an NLP practitioner, so I look at people for the changes in the color of their skin, tightness in the face, you know, anything about which way. I mean, it's very, you're really studying that person's face.
True.
You put a mask on, and I've seen these masks that have the little plastic thing. Well, the only thing happens is that fogs up work.
Yeah,
That's right.
you're right.
But I won't buy one because,
I have the challenge of glasses fogging up, you know, when I wear the mask.
well,
And
on
yeah,
and you see the water in it, it just looks like it would be so uncomfortable. And you can't see their face any more than if they didn't have that. So I'm not going to waste my money on one of those. But it really is a challenge. I had somebody that came over for a hypnotherapy session and we went outdoors and all, but they had the mask on, and it was like I couldn't do the reading of them. And I said, I tell you what, we're going to move. We were like 6 feet apart. We're going to move back 12 feet. You're going to take that off. I said, because I've got to be able to, I said, I'll keep mine on so that, you know, I'm protecting you. I said, but I mean, it was easier for me to do a session really on Zoom where I could see the person than I could without. We just had to do the 12 feet. So yeah, it is a problem with communication.
Well, now, I heard the solution for the fogged up glasses, but I don't wear glasses, so I don't know if it works. So you have to try it.
okay.
You're supposed to take a tissue, it's not tissue,
Mhm.
and you put it right here under your mask, but you let it stick out just barely, and it's supposed to keep it from fogging your glasses up.
Oh, wow. I'm going to try that today. I will try that today.
Online. I read way too much, but anyway. I saw that somewhere and I thought, oh, okay. Well, if I ever have to have glasses and wear my mask, then I know what to do. So cool.
Good
Right.
to know.
Well, Jean,
So y'all have to try it and let me know whether it works or not.
Right.
Plus, it gives you an extra filter. You know, if you put it, it depends on how much of the tissue you put where.
That's true. Yeah.
The way they showed it, they folded it kind of like this and put it across, and then
Okay.
put their mask on,
Mhm.
and then had their glasses, and it said it kept it from fogging up. So, like I said, I don't know if it really works.
That's really
Y'all can be my test subjects.
I'll let you know.
Let me know if that works.
Jean, I was going to tell you, I
Yes,
was
sir.
really fortunate. 15 years ago, I was working in a corporation that let us work from home. So I got used to it. But one of the things one of the first things that I had to do was to set boundaries with my wife and say, I know you know that I'm upstairs here on the computer working, not necessarily in Zoom, but working. But consider me at work unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if the door's open, feel free to come in. But if the door's closed, consider that I'm at work. And I was able to get a lot more done at that point.
I only have one challenge. See her?
That's a cute challenge to have.
Yeah, we're supposed to just play all day. But.
Yeah.
I agree. I remember when I had a little furry critter in my house, and she would like to bark every time I got on the phone. So I don't know how it would be if she was still around, but I'm sure she would make her presence known.
She doesn't bark. That's the thing. I mean,
Really?
you'd never know she was here.
Oh.
She'll come up to me and excuse me, she'll come up to me and look at me and put her cold nose on my legs. Excuse me, we need to go outside and walk.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. It takes me away from the computer and gets me out, and we go outside and walk around, then come back, because her and my son are the only bothers that I have here. And my son never bothers me. He stays in his room. He's 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I worked from home years ago when I had children, and that's definitely challenging.
I bet so. Yeah.
My heart goes out to these parents that have the kids at home and they're trying to homeschool them. Oh, yeah, I can't imagine.
It's like having two jobs at the same time.
I'm telling you. And being home monitor, oh my gosh, I just can't imagine.
No, me either. Yeah, I know what you mean, though. It is a challenge to work from home. And one of the things, I mentioned that I really like ordering groceries, and I've done it for a while, but I've done it on my own. And so after I got home, I showed my husband how he could access our Instacart account, so he could just throw stuff on there through the week, and then on Fridays we would order. Well, I didn't realize he was really going to take it to heart, because at the beginning we were ordering a lot of things. I'm just going to call it comfort foods. I was making casseroles and all kinds of stuff. I was finding recipes online, didn't even look at the calories, y'all, and just enjoying food and being able to be home more to cook. And after I stepped on the scales a few times, I thought I better back off on some of this. So I started buying more healthy things. Well, I guess he decided that wasn't the best choice. So one day I was actually out walking on one of my 6:30 a.m. walks, and my phone dings, and it said that my Instacart order had been received. And I thought, well, I've not made an Instacart order. That was the first time he had ever actually ordered. And at first I thought, this has got to be a mistake. The only thing on there was junk food and fish sticks. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, there was like a couple of pies and some candy bars, and this guy's a diabetic. I don't know what he was thinking. Obviously, I had just cut out so much of the sweet food that he had it was overkill apparently at that point. So, I just tell people he hacked my Instacart account and took over for a day. But he still orders once in a while. But I tell him, I say, let me check that order before you hit send. But that's another thing that's happened since I started working from home. And, you gotta keep your family in check. You just have to. Would anybody else like to share? I think we have a few minutes, maybe a couple minutes, right, Kimball? I think we just have a lot of challenges, guys, when it comes to working from home. And really the main thing for me is just to stay on schedule, because that helps a lot. I also needed to have a dedicated workspace. I don't think I've mentioned that, but it really helped to have a desk already at home where I could set up my workstation. I know some people, we were leaving the office so quickly that people were having to set up their dining room tables with their monitors and their computers and things like that. So I feel very, very good that I had the setup. I didn't have a very good office chair though, because I didn't sit in the chair very often. So I hadn't really invested in something wonderful, because I'll be honest, sometimes I take my laptop in there to my recliner, and that's where I did a lot of my work at home work. But now I have a regular PC, 2 monitors attached to the desk. I have to be here. So the second week of working from home, I invested in a really good office chair that was comfy. Now, this was kind of new to me, because at work I had invested in a stand-up desk. So I stood up most of the day and I sat for maybe 2 hours out of the 8-hour day. So sitting and also eating all the comfort food probably wasn't the best choice, but I did invest in this chair because my stand-up desk doesn't fit on my desk here. And now I'm thinking maybe I just need a new desk, because standing up seemed to help me have more energy throughout the day. And I think it's good to make sure that we do get up and move around once in a while, even if we do sit down most of the time. So that was something that I learned.
I pace on my front porch most of the time.
Do ya?
Yeah, I get on the phone and I get up and get out of here, step out on the porch. And of course, I don't know what I'll do this winter because it's going to be too cold.
I know.
But that is nice, and it gets, I get some fresh air, and so that works real well for me. I think one of the things that, and I've always had a little bit of a challenge with this, and I have to work on it for me all the time, and that's time management. And you mentioned that in another term, but I mean, it's the same thing. Certain times for certain things, and if I can do that, I stay on track pretty well. Before I realize it, it's late in the afternoon and I can shut it down. But if I get up and I manage everything, and get a decent routine going, and allow, this is something that I have to do for me, and that's allow other things into my schedule that I didn't plan on, because in my back of my mind, I'm thinking, hey, you're taking me away from, this is taking me away from something I really need to be working on. But it's all in the day. It's all in the part of the day that you're doing. So I think time management is one of my biggest challenges. And I know there's tons of books written on all that stuff and everything, but after all this time, it's just something I've had to really work hard at for me, is managing my time a little bit better. I can be in here at 8 o'clock in the morning, but if I'm not really accomplishing anything, I'd just as well be on the porch pacing or walking around the house or something, because I'm not getting anything done. And then by the end of the day, you beat yourself up because I'm saying, well, I didn't get this done, I didn't get that done, I didn't get the other done, I let something else take up my time. So that's just a challenge I have. I don't know how everyone else feels about that, but that's just something I have to work at.
Yeah, and I think, go ahead, Drew.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things that I don't allow myself to do is get involved in social media when I first get up. I want to wait till noon. There's nothing that's so critical on social media that I have to do it at first. And there's so many rabbit holes to go down. I let myself do that around 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Then, okay, go ahead and do that if you want. But I find that, and I think I learned that 15 years ago. 15 years ago, it was like, you shut off everything and you just work when you're doing your work. If you want to take a break and go do it, then that's fine. But I find that I need to stay away from it, because if I'm going to take a 15-minute break and start looking at social media, an hour later, I look up and I say, oh, so.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it's just so easy to get distracted. And like you said, before you know it, you've gotten, I don't know if I should say wasted, but sometimes it feels like wasted time that you can't get back, when you're just scrolling through and seeing things and reading about different things that take you off some other site. But yeah, that's true. That's really true. I think we have to be very careful about that. And especially, when we're working from home and we can basically do what we want, we still have to make sure we're successful as we do this thing and navigate through 2020. And I don't know when there will be an end to this, but at least now we know that we can work successfully from home. And I think that's something, we've proven to ourselves as a society that this can happen for many of us, and can happen, and we can do it well. We just have to be intentional about, what we do, whether it's scheduling something every day. Now, I'm a list maker. I have to have my little list because I love to check things off. And the girls at work, they would laugh at me. They're like, you and your list. I said, I feel accomplished every time I put a check mark by that. So I have an Excel document that has everything on it that I need to get done. And it's just something that I tricked myself, I guess, into doing to get tasks done, because I love that sense of accomplishment. When I look back at it and I say, okay, I've done this today.
That's mine. Okay, getting done today.
I love it.
That is awesome.
Old school, but it works. It has, and it's nice when you're able to cross all that stuff off. That makes you feel like you've accomplished something. You know.
It does. It does. And I seem to get more done actually working from home because there's less distraction. And I mean, even just walking, you know, like walking to the break room, we had a really big building. If you go down Highway 40 from Burlington to Greensboro, you'll see the big LabCorp building on the side of on the highway. And we had almost 1,000 employees in there. So it was, you know, it took time just to walk to the bathroom or the break room and back. And you know, now things don't take as much time anymore, and you don't get stopped, you know, to have a conversation on the way. So I feel like I'm actually you know, getting more accomplished by being at home working. So there's that perk.
Well, does anybody have anything else? Well, I want to put a plug for the two books, Thriving Beyond the Storm. Drew did a great deal of work in bringing these books together. I mean, the authors, each of us did our part, but it's a big deal bringing the book together. And the book is sold on Realization Press, both of them. And when you buy it off of Realization Press, 100% of the profit goes to the food banks of North Carolina. And there are lots of people that are hurting, and it is my concern that that is going to get worse in the next couple of months as we're going back into another phase with this virus. And so the books, I mean, each one of the chapters is amazing. I love it. And so I encourage you to go on Realization Press, get your copy, and share it with others, because anybody that's an entrepreneur can utilize these ideas. Great little book, and you will be helping others with food, and that, you know, that is vital. So, well, Gina,
can I say one more thing about that? I did an interview on Monday. Oh, today is Tuesday. Last Monday, and it ran on Friday and Saturday, or Thursday and Friday of last week on WPTF. I will be posting that up on with the other interviews that I did on the Realization Press page sometime this week.
Okay, great.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, thanks. Well, you know, look at those, and those will be great to refer people to that might be interested in the book to share. So, Jean, it was really good to see you today. And thanks, everybody. I hope that everybody will come back again and tell a friend. We're trying to grow the group. Have a great week, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.